Hey, it's Tom Laird, host of Advice from a Call Center Geek and CEO of Expivia and OttoQA. Before we dive into the episode, a quick note. Expivia is your CX tech partner, 100% USA-based, AI-powered, and the only contact center outsourcing partner on the NICE CX1 Customer Executive Council. If you're looking for more than just agents, you're in the right place. Love to talk to you if anyone's interested in outsourcing their CX. Now let's get to the episode.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the Call Center Contact Center podcast. We try to give you some actionable items to take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve the agent experience, hopefully improve the customer experience. What's going on? I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a kind of a hot minute here since I had a chance to kind of put down some thoughts into another pod from the Geek here. And I don't know. I wanted to kind of think through. We've done so many things with, what we've done with OttoQA, and we've learned so many different things. So I wanted to take a couple minutes here, and I think that this should be a really cool value add for everyone, and kind of talk about where quality assurance is today, and where it's moving forward, kind of in the future, where I kind of see it. And again, if you're looking for any tools that automate your quality assurance, I think that these are some of the things that I would ask the providers so that you can kind of be a little bit more knowledgeable about, I think, where the technology is and where it's moving to. So I can't believe that can you close the door? I can't, that it's almost been 24 months that we started our OttoQA process and started the program and thought, we could really do something cool. So the amount that we've learned in the AI space, has been just absolutely invaluable. I can't really put even a finger on how quickly this thing is moving and evolving, right? Every time I think it's stopping or we can breathe, there's something that comes out. I think Twitter has been it's almost been a lifeline for us to keep following, the OpenAI, the Anthropics, the Geminis, all of the different large language models and what they're doing, and then what other people are doing in the space too, to really see, what are some things that we can do. And literally every single week, we're coming up with some other technique, tactic, tool. So when we really just focus all of that energy on quality assurance, there's some really, really cool things that have come about. So, all right, let's talk about kind of this. I think that there's kind of what I'm going to call kind of the ground floor illusion, right? There's this kind of misconception, and I think it's mostly when people are building the tool internally, right? So you have an internal IT team that is trying to help the contact center out. They're building out their tool. And they get to a point and they think we've done it. It's done. Voila. Right. And everybody's acting like scoring calls is kind of the revolutionary endpoint, but it's not. It's kind of it's the beginning step, right? You have to be able to score with AI to be able to do all the really cool other things. But most people I see are stopping there, right? So they're getting 80 to 90% accurate quality assurance scores at scale. They're thinking that's great. And I'm telling you, there's so much more that you can do, and there's so much more out there. First thing is you have to be able to have your IT team, and you have to be able to push back and tell them, or the vendor that you're working with, that 80 to 90% accurate isn't good enough, because it's not. And there's lots of different techniques that can be used to make sure. And I've talked about them, from reiteration to 6 or 7 things that we're doing in our actual system prompt for accuracy, for consistency, right? It's stuff that you can't just figure out. You have to learn, and it's trial and error, and it's R&D. So that's the first step, right? But let's say you did that, right? And there's a lot of really cool vendors. And what I see then is how do we use this data? And I've been asking that question for a long time. And when we started to build OttoQA, right, the one question that I wanted everybody to answer was, how much value can we really get from a single evaluation? And even if that value or that KPI isn't totally a value add on the eval, maybe we can just have it in the background, because there's going to be all of this data that we want to collect to try to get to different levels. So for instance, we said, hey, let's just not score calls and tell it why it scored it, but let's give coaching tips. Those coaching tips are now building our full coaching platform, right? That's the engine from the data that we're collecting, because we're doing that naturally. We said, hey, we need to develop CSAT and NPS prediction scores using AI. Now with that engine built, that prompting built, that thing calibrated, we are starting to build out our full voice of customer, right? That will go way beyond just NPS and CSAT prediction scores, but kind of give you a real AI customer journey. And I think that's something that's going to be extremely valuable, right? We looked at, just how do we collect all of this data to create other things as the technology evolves, right? And I think, there's this kind of this volume versus value trap that we're kind of falling in, where people are talking about, hey, we scored 30,000 calls, we scored 50,000 calls. And my question is, well, what did you learn, right? Right. And maybe there's a dashboard and you can see some lower reps or some higher reps, and maybe you're getting some value from that. But again, are you coaching differently? Are the agents getting better? Is performance up? Right? Are we just checking boxes at scale? And I think there's a lot to that we have to even look at our forms. Right, we see a lot of really good quality assurance forms, and again, when customers come and say, "Tom, can you help us? Our quality form isn't up to where we think it should be." Right, so if you have one of those forms that is not great, then I think the problem is you're just scaling garbage. Right, you're scaling garbage. Question coming in here, right? What are some things that AI gets wrong when scoring, and how does it even find out where it's wrong? How does anyone even find out it is wrong? All right, well, there's multiple things. And again, I can only tell you what we're doing at OttoQA is one we calibrate weekly with every single customer. So we are looking at the questions. We have a kind of a tool, an AI tool, that we have 20 questions that are scored that we know are absolutely perfect. And we'll kind of run other calls against that to make sure that they're being scored the same exact way. Some things that AI does get wrong. We're still not at a full, voice inflection deal yet, right? So you have to prompt for sarcasm, and we've found ways to do that. And if somebody tells you can't do that, you definitely can, right? It can learn kind of how to look for that. But I mean, it doesn't do a really good job on the tone of voice, somebody yelling or screaming. Now that's getting better because we're using the DeepGram API, and that has some of that voice inflection in it. So we're kind of tying what is being said with how it's being said. The other thing I think that AI struggles with, well, there's two other things. One is it struggles with, looking at really rated questions. Human beings are extremely subjective. And if you have a form in your contact center where you're saying, hey, rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 through 5, I guarantee you're going to have 14 different answers, right? From all the people that are scoring those calls. An auto will probably be more correct, but it's still a very difficult mountain to climb when I have to tell a customer, I don't think that you're right because of this. So we will only do rated questions now. We've learned our lesson from really a 1 through 3. Now we do have some customers that we're working with that have a little bit more, but moving forward, we'll say, that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 3. It does struggle. And the other thing is I can't see, right? So the AI currently really, without some other special tools, can't see into the screen. So if you have a Salesforce instance and somebody has to, put in the proper call time for somebody to be picked up, right? Or, putting in specific notes if you're not using any auto summarization, any of that stuff, right? I can't see your screen to see if the agent did what they're supposed to in their CRM. Other than that, I'm sorry, it's the sky's the limit with empathy, call control, hold times, right? We can tell the difference between somebody on hold for getting a supervisor to being on hold to be transferred, and then the total amount of hold, the total amount of time for that instance of hold, and then if the customer has to be told every 30 seconds to, hey, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Like, we can do all that. The other really cool thing, and again, not to go on a tangent here, but we've had customers that say, hey, from a verification standpoint, the customer of record has to be the one to verify their name, address, phone number. A third party cannot do that, but a third party then, like a son or daughter, because was a healthcare client, can take over for the main party after that happens. Unless a third party concierge line calls, then they can verify it as well. So again, all of that stuff we've been able to figure out through hands-on prompting. I think that's why we're a little bit better than everybody else, because we take on those challenges and we try to knock them out. So again, love the question. Thank you. Keep them coming. But I think, again, getting back to kind of this is we see, to kind of what I said is when you're building out your form, if you want to do this on your own, you have to think through not just scoring of the call, but not having a shallow evaluation, right? Trying to have as much meat as you can, because it doesn't cost that much more to put in coaching versus an auto summarization versus just scoring, right? It really doesn't. Now, when you get to the accuracy things, and there's some things that you need to do, but again, looking and trying to get, all of those things that your future QA will want, right? How are you going to get better coaching for your agents? Well, let's put in some things that they're doing well and doing wrong compared to the form. And then we can build that out later, but our engine is built, right? We talked about CSAT and NPS. We want to do a voice of customer down the road. Well, let's start to collect that data now, right? So that we have that engine and it's ready to go when we're ready to program and we're ready to build that out. I think, just thinking through some of those things is really important as you're kind of building. And I think that's some of the mistakes that we're actually seeing, right? So again, I want to talk about people's quality forms, right? I think, again, we have an unbelievable tool on our Otto. It's totally free. If you go to OttoQA.com and click on our quality, our QA form analyzer, you can upload your quality form. And in about 20 seconds, we have an AI just wrapper prompt taking into account all the things that we've learned from sales, service, from the thousands and thousands of quality sessions that we've run with Otto, and tell you where your form is struggling. I think that's the next step, right? Having AI really look deeper into the creation of forms, and we're starting to do that at Otto, right? So we have an AI tool now that will initially build out the form, and that's, again, where most people stop. That gets us to about 80% calibrated, and then we go to town with our humans, right? And really trying to create something that doesn't just check the box, but allows you to create the data that you need to make improvements, right? So there's compliance issues that are no-brainers that you're going to have, right? There's call control and empathy and professionalism, and that's a category. There's openings, there's closings, right? So really seeing, are you a sales call center? Are you a customer service call center? And how can we build that out? And I think a lot of these forms have been built a long time ago, understanding that human beings could only score certain things, and we couldn't really score them at scale. So we made them extremely basic, so the boxes just get checked. Or now we can go, really, really far down the rabbit hole with what AI can do. All right. So again, remember, the other thing is too, the QA form isn't just there to talk about agent behaviors, good or wrong, but it is the richest voice of customer data that you're going to get. It's better than any survey that you're going to get, right? So if you don't have a just expensive, crazy analytics platform, right? Then you can use tools like OttoQA to just not only ask questions about your customers, but start to ask questions, about your agents, but start to ask oh my God, if I could talk, ask questions about your customers as well, right? When we started modeling customer behaviors, that's again where the CSAT and the NPS we saw could be done. But we had, again, you've heard me guys talk about it, is, the call basically is a survey, right? No matter what that customer is asking for, what they need, if we're asking questions of it and we know how to listen for it, every single call is a survey. And that was the mentality we took when we said, hey, we can do CSAT and NPS prediction scores. Hey, we can give really insightful customer data, right? Because those post-call surveys, they're noisy. They have extremely low response rates. They don't scale. You get about 7 to 8% of the people who send them back. And it's really, they're only ticked off people, or they're really, really happy people. So if we could say, and we could use the mentality that every single call is a survey, right? And we could prompt for certain specific things, the amount of data that we've been able, actionable data that we've been able to pull out, that you can too, if you really think it through, is really crazy. QA is kind of like it's a CX lens, right? It kind of amplifies, what you're looking for. And again, that's what we say at Otto, right? We're trying to just find the truth about what is happening. So it's the truth, what's happening with your agent behaviors, and the truth, what's happening with your customers as well, and then trying to kind of merge them. But again, let's shift gears here for a second, and let's talk about coaching, right? Because most QA systems don't really support coaches. They absolutely, especially today, they're overwhelming them, right? we have all these messy dashboards. We have analytics that are going out through the call, where you're looking at, where things are going up, where things are going down, where things were said, right? It's very difficult to, even with all of this data, right? Think about this. Like this is what I've been talking about this for a long time. All of these really overbuilt, I think they're overbuilt, but really cool enterprise type platforms let you scale, let you use AI to score all these calls, right? But really, to get any kind of insights from them, you have to go into the dashboard, pull up the call, and then kind of like read it, right? See where things happened on the actual call with the timing of it. And so it brings us back to just saying, okay, well, we're still doing one at a time. Even though we have all this data, I can't use all that data. And I certainly, even with that, can't use it for coaching. And we thought that stuff through. And I think if you're building something out, you have to think that through. So again, just having very basic things like the 4 up, 4 down approach, right? 4 things they did well, 4 things they struggled with on this call. Having that data for every single call so that you can then pull all that data and come up with kind of roll-ups of the overall of 4 or 5 things that they need to improve upon. You don't want 30 things because you can't coach that, right? So if we created a tool, and you need to create that tool that really just focuses on specific agent behaviors and then continues to scale those behaviors. And also, let's talk about some of the cool things that they do really, really well too. So again, think about that as you're building something out. If you want to do that internally, is how do we make this thing where I can get insights to help the actual team leads or the supervisors coach our agents, and not just have forms that are scored, right? And look at dashboard of who's doing well and who's not, right? That's easy to do, but to peel the onion to find things that they need to improve upon, and then give kind of suggestions on how to do it on specific things as it relates to your form that we think is really good now, is really where the magic of this happens. All right, let's talk about the future of this, right? So there's so many things, again, that we've R&D'd or tested at Otto that have been really cool, but I don't know if people are ready for yet. If you see, ChatGPT obviously has voice. 11 Labs has voice. Anthropic just came out with their voice with their large language model. So it's very easy to just, be able to have the large language models look at an actual call evaluation and start to talk to the agent. That's easy. I don't know if agents are ready for that yet. Have a question and answer with kind of the AI avatar of it. And with that, you need to be ready because agents are the smartest people on the program. They're smarter than you. They do it every single day. So, being able to have the rubric, right? Have that uploaded into the large language model, have the quality form uploaded into the language model, having the quality form not just be scaled, but have as much data as humanly possible with what they did and what they could have improved upon. Then and only then can I think we start to have the conversation of can an agent have a supervisory training session with AI? It can be done. We've done it. We've done it in a ton of simulations here. We've tested it with our agents. Our agents, I don't know if they liked it or not. A lot of them were trying to trick it. They were trying to ask silly questions. There's some guardrails that have to happen with it. I don't know. I don't know if people are ready for that, but that's something that is definitely there from a real-time question and answer session with AI based on the form, based on your rubric. We can do that today. I think the better use of an AI voice avatar is what we're doing with I know there's again, I'm not a programmer. There's kind of a programming platform called React. I really like React instead of we were calling this Redo. Redo sounds kind of lame, to be honest. But not that I guess React is better. But we're turning QA into kind of an AI training ground, right? We're turning Otto into that, not just having a scoring tool, right? But agents can learn better when they role play. We found that, right? When they can try things again, when they can actually do and not just be told. Do not be told. I don't know, maybe something there in the name. But we've been able to say, hey, and this has taken us a long time. So this isn't something that, again, you can test this out pretty easily. And I'm okay to talk about it because I know how much work that this went in to really do well. Is, we can take a transcript and we can pull out what the agent said. So again, let's back this up. Let's say an agent has a really poor call, right? They scored a 52. They didn't have call control. They didn't show empathy and they forgot to upsell, right? So they were dinged on all of those different things. So what we have the ability to do now is say, hey, he's Sally or Timmy, go redo that call. I'm going to coach you. Here's some of the things that you didn't do. Let's make sure that we're feeling comfortable with that. And then, Timmy or Sally can go and redo the call. So they will click a button. And what we've done is we've taken, again, that transcript, pulled out what the agent said, but left the exact things that the customer said. Same customer name, same tone. We're using male and female voices. Same issue, same problems, right? We can kind of even play around a little bit with their tone of voice, but we try to keep everything exactly the same. We send that out to the large language models through a ton of proprietary prompting that we've done. We then send that to 11 Labs. Right now, we might be using OpenAI's kind of whisper in their voice, but anyway, it comes back and we can have a conversation. That agent can retake that call with the AI avatar of the person that they just didn't do a really good job with. So this time they can do the cross-sell. They can have call control. They can show empathy. And then when that call is done, we go rescore it. Then we show the difference on the platform of what they scored before and then when they redid the call. So again, OttoQA is moving very quickly from not just a scoring mechanism, but a fully a coaching tool and a full agent quality tool, right? To have the full circle of not just scoring, but improving the entire agent behavior. And again, that's what we're trying to do with OttoQA. I know a lot of other companies are kind of working on that as well. We're moving very, very fast with this stuff because I know that, a lot of people are doing a lot of really cool things in the space. We should have our redo out, by the end of next month. It's being worked on in R&D here in our internal contact center here at Expivia. The agents they're kind of been into it. Some call types we're finding work better than others. But I think that's a really cool thing. So again, I know this is a lot and it was kind of a ramble episode. There's so many things that I want to talk about that maybe kind of flow together, but if you're creating your own quality assurance tool, if you're looking at an OttoQA, the first thing is make sure that you're at 95, 96% accurate with the scoring. Also, have a little bit of leeway in understanding that your human agents that were scoring calls aren't always going to be right. And sometimes the AI will be more correct. Keep an open mind with that. Ask the quality assurance tools, what information am I getting? How easy is this to use this data to coach? I think all of those things really kind of play in. Is there a CSAT? Is there an NPS that you're starting to build out that we can kind of look for? And again, I think getting deeper into what type of coaching tools will you have? How will you make my agents better with this platform? Right? We're way beyond just being able to score calls at scale, but it's now how we're going to make the agents better, and how will this tool help us? And so again, I think I would love to show you guys what we're doing with a demo of OttoQA, OttoQA.com. Go check it out. Again, I don't care if you buy it or not. I just love to show it, and kind of, even if you're thinking about building something on your own, let me give you a little bit of a leeway or some help right into kind of some of the things to kind of look out for. Hopefully I did that here in this podcast as well. But if there's not any other questions, thank you guys for listening, and I'll be back next week.